So we have unmuted the mic.
So,
Is the mic on?
I told him he has to sit here. Sporting is just playing pickleball in the wrong shoes. I've taken my dog for a walk and my friend said come and play. So I just twisted it. So I have to have this for 3 weeks. And as in, I was just wearing my
The
running
summit
shoes
is what
and
drives us, but the climb itself is what matters. With these inspiring words of George Mallory, I extend my greetings to everyone gathered here on the 8th day of the 12-day Transformational Leadership Program, Lead I. The Leadership Education and Discover India initiative, envisioned by Maharani Gayatri Devi Girls School, Jaipur, is a platform where little girls with dreams grow into young women with vision. The leadership program began on the 24th of November with a highly motivating inaugural session by Shriji Huzur Dr. Laksharaj Singh Mewar of Udaipur, setting an extraordinary tone for the journey ahead. Since then, our participants have engaged in enriching and thought-provoking seminars on leadership delivered by eminent speakers such as Ms. Shaila Raghav, Lieutenant General S. Kulkarni, and Dr. Latika Nath, each contributing meaningfully to this immersive experience of self-awareness and growth. Today, we have gathered here for yet another insightful seminar on leadership by Mr. M.G.D on the topic Taking Challenges. As challenges are what make life interesting, overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. It's my esteemed privilege to welcome the guest speaker of the day, Mr. M.G.D, an award-winning adventurer and entrepreneur. I also welcome all esteemed members of the Board of Governors, M.G.D Girls School Society, M.G.D Girls Guild, all dignitaries, guests, and members of M.G.D fraternity present today. I take this opportunity to extend sincerest welcome to young leader delegates from prestigious schools across the globe and their teacher escorts, faculty advisors from premier institutions across the globe, students and teachers from different schools of Jaipur. A special mention to the press team who have joined us today. We are deeply honored to have such an inspiring gathering of intellectual minds with us. I request Mrs. Archana S. Mankotia, Director, M.G.D Girls School, to welcome the guest speaker of the day, Mr. Ajit Bajaj. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir. Proceeding further, I invite our principal, Mrs. Pramendra Khangarud, to introduce our renowned guest speaker, Mr. Ajit Bajaj, to this august gathering.
बस ठीक है तो
Good morning to the August gathering. Once again, as we gather here for yet another enthralling and adventurous session, it is my honor and privilege to introduce our distinguished guest today, Mr. M.G.D, a true pioneer and visionary in the world of adventure tourism. Mr. Bajaj is the Managing Director and founder of Snow Leopard Adventures, a company that stands for safety, skill, sustainability, and exemplary service in the outdoor adventure space. He is a consummate adventurer, the first Indian to complete the polar trilogy, having skied to the North Pole, the South Pole, and traversed the Greenland ice cap. Over 3 decades, he has also rafted and kayaked some of the world's most challenging rivers across 6 continents, making him one of the most experienced and respected explorers in India. His countless contributions to adventure tourism and exploration have been recognized nationally and internationally. In 2012, he was awarded the Padma Shri, one of the India's highest civilian honors, for his outstanding service in promoting adventure sports. He has also held leadership roles in the Adventure Tour Operators Association of India and has been instrumental in shaping policies related to sustainable tourism. Mr. Bajaj's passion for the outdoors is matched by his deep commitment to mentorship and training. He has led and taught river running and kayaking courses for the Indian Armed Forces, including Special Forces, and has pioneered the first descent expeditions on major Himalayan rivers. On the personal front, his spirit of adventure is deeply rooted in family. He and his daughter, Diya Bajaj, became the first Indian father-daughter duo to summit Mount Everest. This partnership not only reflects his love for exploration, but also his belief in empowering the next generation. Please join me in welcoming Mr. M.G.D Bajaj, a true adventurer, a pathmaker, and an inspiration to all of us. Thank you, sir, for your gracious presence.
Thank you, ma'am. So, we are truly honored to have your inspiring presence amongst us today, and we eagerly look forward to the session on taking challenges. It is my privilege to invite our guest speaker, Mr. M.G.D Bajaj, to take us on an empowering journey as he leads the session on taking challenges. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's great to be here. So girls, I'm going to take you on a journey to some of the coldest places on the planet. Yeah? I'm going to take you to 90 degrees north latitude, the very top of our planet, the geographical North Pole. I'm going to take you to the bottom of our planet, 90 degrees south latitude, and I'm going to take you to the third pole, the summit of Mount Everest. Right? So it's going to get very cold here. So if you have a jacket, I would suggest that you wear it. So I'm also here as the father of 2 girls, right?
And it's the best thing that has happened to me in my life is my two daughters. Yeah. So I was really excited to come and talk to all of you and share our journey together. So let your imagination go completely wild and crazy. Imagine you're on this, you're climbing Mount Everest with one of your parents, your mother or your father. You're at 8,000 meters. 8,000 meters is called the death zone. It's called the death zone because there's very little oxygen there. Right? We human beings aren't supposed to be there. And if something should go wrong, there is no rescue or any such thing there. So it's a sunny day, you're climbing with your parent, and you've trained very hard, and you're actually enjoying the climb, right? But with very little warning, all hell breaks loose, and you get into a deadly storm. It becomes a battle for survival. So what do you do? So temperatures drop to minus 45 degrees Celsius, and you're worried about your team, you're worried about your daughter, and there's no turning back. You cannot stop in a storm because there is something called the wind chill factor, which makes you even colder. So you have to keep going, right? So what do? When I graduated from college, I went to St. Stephen's College in Delhi University. All my friends were getting real jobs. Some were joining the civil services, others the corporate sector. And when I told them that I was going to make my hobby, my passion, my profession, they thought that I had lost it completely. Right? I joke about this, but this is how I commute to work, sometimes anyway. This is a 400-meter zip line that takes me across the Ganga River to one of the camps we operate. It's called Leopard Heights near Rishikesh. Straight out of college, I got into the fascinating world of adventure. I celebrated my 21st birthday on the summit of a 23,000-foot mountain. That's the summit of the mountain. And one of the people who really inspired me, and I want to share this with all of you girls, is Sir Edmund Hillary. Right? You know, he became the first person to climb Mount Everest. That was way back on May 29, 1953, along with Sherpa Tenzing. But in our world of adventure, we feel that he rose to heights higher than Mount Everest. And the reason is, post-Everest, as you know, after becoming the first person to climb Mount Everest, he was famous. And Sherpa Tenzing, he spent many years as director of the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute in Darjeeling, inspiring many generations. And Sir Edmund Hillary, whom I had the very proud privilege of taking him whitewater rafting on the Ganges River on 2 occasions, what he did is he raised a lot of money. He was famous, he raised a lot of money, but not only did he raise a lot of money for the Sherpa people of Nepal to build schools and hospitals for them, he would also go there to Nepal every summer, and he would spend a few months building schools and hospitals for them. So in our world, he rose to heights higher than Mount Everest. So I like the M.G.D school here. I went to a great school as well called the Laurel School, Sanar, and like your school, the Laurel School, Sanar also has a strong outdoor ethos, right? So we went hiking and got into mountaineering, and while I was in college, I got into whitewater rafting as well. And so that's some of the rivers we rafted all over the world actually. This is kayaking down a river called the Choru. This is in Turkey. And this river that you see here is the Alsek River in Alaska. Now what makes rafting in Alaska really exciting is, so on this expedition you carry your food, everything with you, your tent, sleeping bags for 18 days, and you don't see another human being. Right? You camp out on the side, and there are some big rapids as well. I believe all of you go rafting as well, right? The students do go rafting, yeah. But what makes rafting on the Alsek exciting is the presence of these grizzly bears. Now they look very cute and cuddly, but they can be very, very aggressive, so you have to be very careful. And this is one of my favorite rafting rivers in the world. This is called the Zambezi. So in Africa. So you start this trip just below Victoria Falls, which is one of the natural wonders of the world. And not only does this river have some of the wildest rapids. Now what you see on the screen is a 16-foot raft disappearing into the rapid, right? And sometimes when you go rafting, the raft can flip, it can turn upside down, right? But what makes rafting on the Zambezi very exciting is in the calm pools. Below the big rapids, you have the crocodiles, right? So in case the raft flips, you have to reflip it very, very quickly and get everybody back on, right? I must admit, it was a proud privilege to run 50 courses and expeditions for the Indian Armed Forces, including our special forces. And while this is rafting the Indus River with the Para Brigade, but while I was their trainer, I must admit, I learned a lot from our men and women in uniform. And what I learned was that the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. So whatever you do in life, the harder you prepare, yeah, the greater the chances of success. And the second thing I learned from them was that when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So, you know, as this is about leadership, right? This camp that you're doing, Lead I, is about leadership. So remember, leadership is not about when everything is going perfectly well. Leadership is about leadership in adversity, when things are tough. And that is what truly defines you as a leader. Right? So it was a huge honor to represent India in international championships. That's the Indian team on a rafting during the World Rafting Championships in Switzerland. We got a silver and a bronze medal. Well, I was very lucky. I got an opportunity. I was a skier. I got an opportunity to ski to the North Pole. And well, when you ski to the North Pole, you ski on a thin layer of ice on the Arctic Ocean. That thin layer of ice is 1 to 3 meters thick, right? So you tow a sled behind you, what you can see, the red sled. That weighs about 60 kilos when you start. And that has your food, your tent, your sleeping bag, and all your equipment, your fuel, everything with you, right? We had a fair share of adventure. That's crossing the crevice. That's one of my American teammates. So the ambient temperature here is minus 30 degrees Celsius.
Well done, good one. And here goes the sled push.
Pardon my French, sorry about that, but I had to stop filming and go and help my teammate. But I must admit, as I mentioned, the ambient temperature is minus 30 degrees Celsius, and you have the Arctic Ocean below. We had a fair share of adventure. You can even fall into what we call open water leads. And we were also lucky, we got to see polar bears, a mother and two cubs, on our expedition to the North Pole. When we came back, we did a bit of research and we found out that this was the northernmost polar bear sighting ever. We were only about 30 miles south of the geographical North Pole. Well, everything is south of the North Pole, but this was the northernmost polar bear sighting ever. Now, of course, polar bears have been seen all the way at the North Pole. But the reason is that because of global warming, these polar bears, they are losing their habitat and they are getting pushed further and further north. Right? So of course, getting to the geographical North Pole, it's your global positioning system that tells you with an accuracy of 1 square meter that you've reached the North Pole, and unfurling the Indian tricolour. That was a very proud moment. And this is actually in the Arctic Ocean. The depth of the Arctic Ocean at the North Pole is 13,500 feet. This was near the North Pole. You wear a dry suit, yeah, and you jump in. So I was saying it's warmer inside because when you come out, you have the wind chill factor. The water temperature is warmer than outside. Yeah. Well, a few months later, this time, I was on an expedition to ski to the bottom of our planet. This was in late December. Late December because, as you know, that's the southern hemisphere. So in Antarctica, our summer months are their winter months, right? So you have 24 hours of daylight, and this little plane dropped us off at the starting point of our expedition. And I must admit, we got into, that's an Antarctic storm, we got into some of the worst conditions. You know, in an Antarctic storm, the temperature drops to minus 40 degrees Celsius and it becomes a battle for survival. On a typical day, you ski, cross-country ski for about 8 to 10 hours. And at the end of the day, you pitch a tent and you melt snow, you make some water, you force yourself to eat something, and you sleep for at least 8 hours. Next morning you wake up, eat something again, and pack your tent and you get going all over again, right? I'm going to share with all of you girls here my photograph at the South Pole, right? So luckily I got there on the Indian Republic Day on January 26th. And I don't know, girls, but can you tell that I'm smiling? I'm frozen, but smiling, right? And let me share with all of you the reason, right? The reason is because when I was in school, your age, I had read about polar explorers like Captain Scott, Amundsen, Nansen, Shackleton, and so on. And this was a childhood dream, to get to the poles one day, right? And let me tell you, girls, you're all very, very lucky. You go to a great educational institution of excellence. You must all dream big. I must share with you. You don't know, but today you quite literally have the world below your feet, right? And we human beings are as big as our dreams. So dream big, whatever you want to do in life. You want to be the very best, not just in India, but in the world, right? But let me tell you, you will have to face many storms when you're pursuing your dreams. But if you are steadfast in your resolve, you have a never give an attitude, let me tell you, there is no dream too big, right? So, now I'm going to stop. Since this camp is about leadership, I'm going to stop and share two stories about early polar explorers, right? The first one is about teamwork, right? So this is way back, about 110 years ago, there was a race to get to the South Pole. There were two teams. There was a British team led by Captain Scott, and there was a Norwegian team led by Captain Amundsen. Now, to cut a long story short, the Norwegian team got to the South Pole 1 month, 5 weeks actually, before the British team reached there. They got there on 17th January 1912. That's the photograph of the British team. Now, when the British team reached the South Pole, now they used to use these sextants for determining your exact position, your latitude and longitude on the planet, where you are exactly. So when the British reached, they saw this tent had been pitched by the Norwegians with a Norwegian flag, right, on the tent. They realized that they had been beaten in the race. So they were a dejected lot. But on the way back to their ship, one of their team members, Lieutenant Oates, and that's him, he got frostbite on his feet and realized that he was slowing his team down, right? So there was a good chance that his entire team would not make it back to the South Pole, to the ship from the South Pole, with him slowing his team down. So one day, he just walked out of his tent saying, I'm going out and maybe sometime. He froze to death to try and give his team a chance to survive. I like to call that extreme teamwork. Now girls, in life, we will be working in teams. And remember, teamwork is about sacrificing a little bit of yourself for a common cause, right? And that's the kind of spirit always, whether we are any activity that we are doing, whether it's sport, whether it's academics, whatever you do, if you do it as a team, you will always attain greater heights. My next story is about leadership, right? This camp is about leadership. So there was an expedition led by someone called Shackleton. Again, this was way back in 1914. Their plan was it was a British expedition, their plan was to ski across Antarctica via the South Pole. Now, as luck would have it, their ship, the Endurance, it got to the coast of Antarctica, got stuck in pack ice, and the ship sank. That's Shackleton on the left side. So what do? Right? Their ship sank. They were able to get some provisions out. Those days, there was no way to communicate with the outside world. Now, of course, you have satellite phones. So what Shackleton did is, he took one of the life rafts from the ship, which was 22 feet long. He took 5 of his crew members and they rowed the boat 1,300 kilometers to an island called South Georgia, and from there they were able to get help. They were actually able to get another ship that came to the coast of Antarctica, and he was able to rescue his 22 team members that he had left behind. So, Shackleton is today a case study, even at Harvard Business School, for leadership. So what were some of the things that Shackleton did? So firstly, even in extreme adversity, he was always positive, right? He never lost hope, and he always continued to motivate his team, right? So leadership today is about leading by example. You can't be a good leader, say one thing, and ask your team to do another thing. You have to lead by example. You have to walk the talk. Leadership today is also about ethics and values. It's not how you get there. It's to do it properly with your value system intact. That's the most important thing. So, Shackleton was also, he was very enthusiastic, he kept his team motivated, He had a lot of flexibility with changing circumstances, but he never lost hope. And so I thought I knew what, having done all these expeditions, what the spirit of adventure was all about. Till I got my two best expedition buddies in my life, my two daughters, right? So this is a video with them, scuba diving. My daughters and I, we go kayaking, scuba diving, and so this video was taken about 20 meters underwater. We did a little dance, okay, to wish my wife a happy birthday, right? I'm going to share it with all of you. That's it. Love you, Mama, and happy birthday. So both my daughters enjoy the outdoors. My younger one, Meghna, she's a great singer. She's a taekwondo black belt, and she's really into scuba diving and kayaking. My elder daughter, Dia, she enjoys the extreme stuff, right? So Dia was all of 14 years old when we did our first big, wild, crazy expedition. So we went on a 3-week sea kayaking expedition. We skied along the fjords of West Greenland. We saw blue whales, Arctic foxes, and while we were there, we decided that we wanted to ski across the Greenland ice cap. Now it's a part of the polar trilogy to ski to the North Pole, the South Pole, and across the Greenland ice cap. Now, Greenland is the world's largest island, and it's the second largest chunk of ice on our planet. There's 6,500,000 square miles of ice, and again, this ice is melting very, very rapidly because of global warming, right? And I must admit, I was a very nervous father. My daughter was still in school. She had just turned 17, and we were going to ski 600 kilometers along the Arctic Circle from the west to the east coast of Greenland over 3 weeks. And so this plane dropped us off to the starting point of our expedition, and we started off. Right? So we would ski for 8 to 9 to 10 hours every day. For 19 days we skied. This is what it's like camping on the Arctic ice. The temperature is at minus 23 degrees Celsius, the ambient temperature. And it would drop to, during storms, to minus 40 degrees Celsius. Yeah? So again, like I mentioned, you melt ice, and you have to make water, and you have 24 hours of daylight. So this photograph, what we did is we navigated something called JAIPUR. This was a distant early warning system from the Cold War era. So this was straight out of a James Bond movie, actually. So during the Cold War, what the Americans had done was they had set up 3 radars in the middle of nowhere on the Greenland ice cap. And the idea was that in case the Soviets sent a few of their intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, they would get an early warning with the radars. So, of course, there were 2 world leaders who had the foresight and wisdom to end the Cold War. Gorbachev from the Soviet side and Reagan from the American side. And after that, these stations were abandoned. So we could actually go inside and take a look at the radar and everything. So that was we had actually navigated past this particular. This is Tony, one of our team members from New Zealand. We started calling him Tony the Walrus after this. Yeah. And of course, once we reached the east coast of Greenland, we were the first crazy Indians to have done this. And my daughter became the youngest in the world to have done this. So it was a very proud moment for us, unfurling the Indian tricolor. So just before my daughter, after this, she had to go off to university. She was able to get into Cornell University in the US. But just before she left, we decided my way of saying bye to her for a little while was by climbing another mountain. And this is a mountain called Mount Elbrus. It's the highest mountain in Europe, it's in Russia. So we went up from the north side to the summit and came down from the south side. And while she was in college, my daughter, we set our sight on something even higher. We wanted to climb Mount Everest. Dia had been a mountaineer for many years. She got into this while she was in school. So we decided to climb Mount Everest. Now, if you look at the summit, that's the summit of Mount Everest, right? The right side of the photo is Nepal, and the left side, what you see, is the north face and the northeast ridge. So most people climb from the Nepal side. The north side from Tibet is considered harder. It's colder, it's steeper, it's windier. So Dia and I decided we wanted to climb from the north side. And we started training and preparing for our climb. For 2 years, that was the focus of our existence. Now, this is an extreme expedition. People even die climbing Mount Everest, and I was going to be doing it with my daughter. So I wanted to make sure that we did everything right. So we also did 4 training expeditions. This was our first expedition in Ladakh, where we climbed a 20,000-foot mountain. But every day of our life, we would wake up early, we would train, we would go for a run, we would swim, we would cycle, go to the gym. I had to go to work as well. Both of us, Dia was helping me in the adventure company that I run. We would finish work early, come back, and do some more training in the evening. So we would train for 4 to 5 hours, plus do these expeditions as well. In the winter of 2017, we went for a trek to Nepal. We spent 3 weeks at high altitude in extreme cold. That's a beautiful lake called Gokyo in the background, and the summit of Everest at the back. And we went to the French Alps. That's my daughter, climbing a frozen waterfall. And our last training expedition, we thought, what better way to train than to go looking for the elusive cat, the snow leopard. So we spent 3 weeks in Ladakh in the winter months in search of the snow leopard. Now people spend their lifetime looking for the snow leopard. It's a very rare cat, and there's only 5,000 to 7,000 of them in the world over 14 countries. So we were very lucky. We had 4 sightings of the snow leopard. And we thought that this was a good omen for our expedition. So a few months later, we were at the base camp of Mount Everest. That's Mount Everest at the back, the black summit that you see, that's the north face of Everest. We had the local Rinpoche, the Buddhist priest from the monastery. He came to do a puja and bless our expedition. But I'd like to share with all of you, people say that you conquered Mount Everest. Let me tell you that's not true. We human beings are too small, too insignificant compared to Mother Nature. We always have to approach Mother Nature, adventure, with respect and humility, always. So this is our route to Mount Everest. Now if all of us, including myself, we were to go to the summit of Mount Everest, we would die within 3 to 4 minutes. And the reason is there's very little oxygen there. There's 1/3 the level of oxygen that we have here. So to climb a mountain which is 8,000 meters, you have to do it very slowly. The mantra for success is something called climb high, sleep low. So you spend time getting your body acclimatized or used to those lower levels of oxygen. So that's my daughter climbing up to the North Pole. And again, during the day as a father, I would be very proud looking at my daughter. She's super strong and she's very exuberant. You know, she makes sure that everybody is happy, everybody is smiling, everybody is well fed. She becomes the person who looks after the entire team. But I must admit, we had trained really hard, but still there were moments of doubt when I thought, you do see frozen human bodies on the expedition, and there were moments of doubt for me as a father. I didn't really know if I had done the right thing. This is the North Pole on Mount Everest. So on the left side you have a crevice, on the right side you have a 2,000-foot drop all the way to your advanced base camp. So whenever you come out of your tent, you have to wear these metal spikes called crampons. They get strapped onto your boots and you have to be attached through a device called the Jumar onto a rope. So even if you slip and you fall, you're anchored. You don't fall off the mountain or get into any trouble. So coming back to my story, it was a sunny day in the Himalaya. We were climbing from the North Pole of Mount Everest to our Camp 2. We were actually enjoying the climb. It was a sultry minus 25 degrees Celsius, and all that training we felt had stood us in good stead. When suddenly, with very little warning, we got into this deadly storm. So what do? Right? There's a French term called sang-froid, which means the ability to stay calm in a crisis. And all of you young leaders have to make this quite literally your middle name. In the journey of life, there will be many crisis situations that you get into. But let me tell you, if you take a deep breath and you smile through it, you think through it, chances are that you will be able to get out of it much, much better, right? I'm going to share with all of you girls our secret formula for success on some of these very extreme expeditions. The acronym TOP, remember, to get to the top, T is for teamwork. Always putting your team before your personal or self-interest. O is for outlook. And let me tell you, that's about a positive outlook. Winners, if you think about leaders you admire, you respect, winners, they are people who have a very positive glass half full rather than a glass half empty attitude. So it could be your parents, could be your teachers, could be, the captain of the Indian women's cricket team. Yeah, but if you look at them, they are people who can remain cool and calm in adversity. And even when the chips are down, they can smile through it and come up tops. Right? And the P is for planning. Confucius spoke about it in the 6th century BC. Right? So the harder you plan and prepare, the greater the chances of success. Right? So we got to our Camp 2, We carried on to Camp 3. You can see we are using supplementary oxygen at this stage. Camp 3 was a summit camp. We were nervous. We were at 8,200 meters and we knew we had to climb to the top at night. We left our tent at 9 o'clock at night. We were using headlamps. And the reason you climb at night is because the day you go to the summit is a very long day. Your idea is to get to the summit before 10 a.m. in the morning. No matter where you are, if you've not made it to the summit at 10 a.m., you have to turn back. Right? And that day, the idea is also to go after you get to the summit, low down on the mountain. That's for reasons of safety as possible. Of course, before we got out of our tents, I was able to call my parents on a satellite phone and get their blessings. My daughter also, we spoke to our entire family. They were all very, very nervous. But at 9 o'clock, we were out of our tents and we started climbing. That's what it was like. It was minus 40 degrees Celsius. So this is the north face of Everest. It's steep rock and ice. You can see we are wearing these metal spikes, these crampons, and climbing with our headlamps. Well, all that training stood us in good stead, and we were climbing very strongly. But at 3 a.m. in the morning, suddenly something went wrong, and I couldn't breathe. I realized that my oxygen mask had frozen. So we were on a steep slope. It was pitch dark. Minus 45 degrees Celsius. I was climbing with my daughter. What do? I took the hardest decision of my life. I told my daughter, she's a strong mountaineer, to carry on to the summit. Now we had a Sherpa bunny with us, and I told her that Dear, go on ahead. She tried to tell me that, but I said, Dear, go on. I'm going to be okay. And I tried following her, but now without supplementary oxygen, I had slowed right down. And your fuzzy brain, you're not thinking coherently. So I had a walkie-talkie with me. I reached out to our head Sherpa, our Sherpa Serdar, Nima Dai, we called him. And as luck would have it, Nima Dai had a spare oxygen mask. He was climbing below us. He was able to catch up with me. And your fingers are also frozen. It's so cold. So we were able to change my mask. I was able to breathe and follow my daughter to the summit. Now, of course, she was waiting for me just below. We had matching orange helmets, and you can actually, near the summit, you can actually make out the curvature of the earth. And of course, we got there at about 4:15 in the morning. My daughter got there 15 minutes before I did. And unfurling our tricolor was a very, very proud and emotional moment for us. It was a shared dream as a daughter-father team. And there were also two messages that we wanted to convey to our fellow citizens. The first one was about our country. I feel blessed to call myself an Indian. I think the time for our country has come. We Indians are excelling in every sphere of human activity possible. So have that confidence. We are the world's largest democracy, and what makes me proud is no matter what religion, right? Once we are under that flag, we're all together, we're all one, and that is what makes our country great. And all of us have to work hard in our respective fields and take our flag quite literally to the summit. The second message was about the girl child. Given an opportunity, our girls can attain any heights possible. And of course, as parents, it's our duty to support our girls, to help them face those storms, and to help them get to the top of their dreams, whatever those dreams may be. When it was broad daylight now and most accidents happen on the way down, we hadn't slept for 2 nights, we were cold, we were tired, we were exhausted. So we forced ourselves to eat and drink something, and we told, we're a good support system for each other. We said we were going to focus on the way down, and it was broad daylight, so we could actually see the drops on all the sides. I'm going to share a video with you. This is what it was like coming down from the summit. So that's the 10,000 foot drop. So this is the third step. So what makes the north side of Everest even harder, other than the fact that it's steeper, the climbing? There are these 3 rocky pinnacles. That's the third step. This is the second step. And what you don't like to see, there is actually a body of a climber below the second step. So we were very careful, and we backed each other up, we supported each other, and we were lucky to get off the mountain absolutely safe. That's one of our, there was a climber on the mountain from Austria, and you know what, girls, he wanted to smoke a cigarette. So this is during the storm I was talking about. So he came out of the tent, he took out his gloves because he wanted to use a lighter, right, to smoke a cigarette. And to cut a long story short, he got frostbite on his fingers. All 10 fingers had to be amputated, they had to be cut off, right? So moral of the story, never even look at a cigarette. So we came back to an amazing welcome. The Honorable President of our country invited us to the Rashtrapati Bhavan to meet him, and we were appointed ambassadors for Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. My younger daughter could be with us because she was then out of the country. She's doing hotel management in Switzerland. But we joked with the Honorable President of India. We said, sir, Beti Bachao, wo din to gaye. You know, we can't even think of that today. Beti ko padhao, zarur padhao. You know, or Beti ko Everest chadha. You know, being symbolic of loving our daughters, helping them dream big, helping them face any adversity in life, and helping them climbing the summit of their dreams. Yeah. I'm going to also share with you an advertisement which is about the daughter-father relationship, right? This ad actually went viral. We had about, I was told later that, there were about 8 million views. See, we don't climb for records, but when we came back, we were told that we were the first daughter-father team, the parent-child team, to have climbed Mount Everest from the harder route, right? So the first details, of course, but this is the ad. I'd like to share it with all of you.
एवरेस्ट पे पहुंचने की तो बहुत खुशी होती है, पर एक खुशी उससे भी बढ़कर होती है। माउंटेनियरिंग और पेरेंटिंग में ज्यादा फर्क नहीं होता। To be a good mountaineer, you have to be fearless. You have to take on every challenge with a smile. और एक अच्छा पेरेंट भी अपने बच्चों को यही सिखाता है। बचपन से ही दिया का खेल-कूद और माउंटेनियरिंग में बहुत शौक था। लोग मुझे कहते थे, आप अपनी बेटी को क्या करा रहे हैं? But I never really bothered about it.
पापा मुझे हर दिन 6 बजे उठाकर ट्रैकिंग के लिए ले जाते थे और मैं सोचती थी पापा मुझे ये क्यों करवा रहे हैं?
Going fantastic.
He wanted me to push my limits and be better.
दिया से जब मैंने एवरेस्ट चढ़ने की बात की थी, I wasn't very sure. दिया का confidence देख के I got confidence myself. The one thing I will never forget, we were close to the summit of Mount Everest, और मेरा oxygen mask, it froze. ऐसी सिचुएशन में अच्छे लोग गिव अप कर जाते हैं, but not दिया। इतनी ऊंचाई पे भी दिया ने मेरा ऐसा ख्याल रखा, जैसे बचपन में मैं उसका ख्याल रखता था। At that moment, मुझे लगा कि मेरी बेटी एवरेस्ट से भी होती है।
So our quest to climb continued, and we decided to climb the 7 summits, highest mountain. So this is Mount Vinson. It's the highest mountain in Antarctica. So Antarctica is very cold, very remote. And again, each time before you go on these climbs, you have to train really hard, and you have to repeat everything. And this was an expedition to climb Kilimanjaro. So my old school, well, the boys climbed Mount Everest, and I was given the job to take our girls, 7 girls and 2 lady teachers, to the summit of Kilimanjaro, which, as you know, is one of the 7 summits and the highest mountain in Africa, in Tanzania. So this is just before our summit climb. Yeah, it's very cold on the summit night.
Anybody not feeling good? Any issues? Let us know. Gently, good teamwork. Let's support each other. Avanti, you're going to lead slowly. Any issues? Let me know, Bachar. Okay?
So that was a fantastic expedition, and these 7 girls, now my daughters, and 2 lady teachers, sisters for life, we were able to get to the summit and unfurl the tricolor. So this was 2.5 years back. We had to stop for some time to get to the last of our 7 summits. So do you girls know the 7 summits? Mount Everest, the highest in Asia. Mount Kosciuszko, that's an easy one, the highest in Australia. Kilimanjaro, the highest in Africa. Mount Elbrus, it's in Russia. It's the highest in Europe. Mount Vinson, the highest in Antarctica, and then you have Mount Denali, which is this mountain. It's the highest in Alaska, the highest in North America, and Mount Aconcagua, which is in Argentina in South America. That's the highest mountain in South America. So this little plane, it dropped us off. This was 2.5 years ago in May. This plane has skis at the bottom. It dropped us off at our base camp and left us and took off. So we saw
There's an
this
avalanche coming in the land. The mountain,
a few minutes later.
that we are nowhere close to it. This is big. Oh my God. Oops. I'm glad we are far away.
So that's the base camp where the plane had dropped us off. Yeah. But anyway, we started climbing, and this mountain is very close to the Arctic Circle. It's about 63 degrees north latitude, so very cold. It's called Denali. That's my daughter, Dia, climbing. That's the summit. It's so very, very remote, but a very beautiful part of the planet. You can see a climber on the way to the summit. And this is just having a little bit of fun on the way. And of course, getting to the highest point in North America. Our last summit together was a very proud moment. Our shared dream as a daughter-father team had come together. And well, girls, I just want to share, I want to close this talk by telling all of you, believe in yourself, work hard. Girls can achieve anything, even more than boys. I mean, and I say this as the proud father of 2 girls. Believe in yourself, okay? Whatever, dream big. There will be many storms, many challenges. But let me tell you, there is no challenge too big if you have a never-given attitude, right? So, wish you the very, very best. Wish you great health, happiness, and top of the world success in your lives. Thank you.
Thank you so for that enlightening session and sharing with us your inspiring experiences. Your words have truly given us a new perspective on taking challenges and reminded us once again that every challenge is an opportunity to grow. Please join me in giving him a resounding round of applause. And now, we invite the audience to engage with our speaker as we begin the question and answer session. Participants may kindly raise their hands and ask their questions.
Good morning, sir. I'm Janvi from Morrison's College, and I just wanted to know that what made you believe that your daughter could accompany you to such dangerous climb? There must be many doubts. So from where did you find the courage to tackle such negative thoughts?
Okay, that's a big question. So, since with a crazy dad like me, Dia, since she was very little, both my daughters, all our holidays have been about adventure sports, right? But you know what? Before I answer your question, I want to say one thing about adventure sports. It's important to do adventure sports properly, with the proper training, with good equipment, learning from the right people, right? Otherwise, adventure sports can be very, very risky. So you have to ensure that I'm here to also motivate you towards sport and adventure sport, but you must remember that it must be done carefully, right? Okay, well, so since my daughters were very little, I took them out and built their skill and expertise slowly to the level where I had the confidence that they could attain any summits. Yeah. Yes, there are negative thoughts, no doubt about it. But again, that previous preparation, the training, the bonding we had, right? So we put ourselves in a lot of situations before we were actually on Mount Everest. We trained hard, and I think that really is what made all the difference. And TOP. So while I say TOP is the acronym which helped us succeed, teamwork as a daughter and father as well, a positive outlook. Even when we were in our storms, we would think positive. You know, and as I said, human battles are fought in the mind. We win or we lose depending on our mental attitude. So if you think you're not going to make it, you will definitely not make it. But if you think positive thoughts of putting your national flag on the summit of Mount Everest or any mountain you're climbing, about your team, you'll definitely get there. Yeah? So, and planning and preparation. Why I say top, it should in a way be tops, because S is for supports, for your support system, right? So in our case, it was our families, our friends, who made it possible for us, who supported us to get to the top. Yeah? Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Kinran Roy from IBS Mohali, and I want to ask you, what fears did you overcome to reach your goal?
So, I know this sounds cliched, और आपने एक you must have seen an advertisement also. डर के आगे जीत है. डर तो लगता है. There's no doubt, especially when you're with your daughter, because there are many things beyond your control. But like I said, we today are a pretty good team. You know, in the beginning, as the father, I was in charge, right? Then we became a team. You know, we were equals. But today, I'm proud to say that Dia is now the team leader, right? So that's been the transition in our relationship. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Ujashita from Parsons College, and your journey is truly inspiring. And I'm sure that you faced a lot of challenges where you couldn't find, like you just stopped thinking and couldn't think of a solution. And you also showed an example to us. So what did you mostly find yourself doing in such situations?
Again, the power of positive thinking, you know, having in the situation I shared with you, that was a very tense moment. I mean, perhaps the most stressful situation of my life, you know, because the consequences were very, very real up there. But again, I had that confidence in my daughter, her ability, that even if I have to turn back, and I can't do it, I wasn't going to give up either. I might have slowed down. And we had agreed that there was a 10 a.m. deadline to come back. We were going to respect it no matter what, right? But having said that, I was going to continue. We had acclimatized really well. Not having the oxygen slows you down, makes you colder as well. Even with oxygen, you take about 3 or 4 steps and you have to stop and take 10 breathe 10 times and then take the next 4 steps, right? But without oxygen, you take 1 step or 2 steps, you have to stop. You're completely knocked out of breath, right? But I knew I was going to keep going towards the summit, to my daughter. But again, that was a very tough decision. And like I mentioned earlier, you are fuzzy brain, you're not thinking coherently because of the lack of oxygen. But in all that, I knew that my daughter is an accomplished mountaineer, she's super strong, and she's going to be able to do it. So I took that decision, and like I said, tough decision, but in hindsight, everything worked out. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Hachra Johar from M.G.D. What advice would you give to young people who are afraid of stepping out of their comfort zones?
Ashad, see, you've got to, that's a great question. So, we all have a comfort zone. Beyond that comfort zone, we have a challenge zone, right? Beyond that challenge zone is something we call the panic zone, okay? It's important to do this properly, right? See, as human beings, we've evolved because we've taken challenges, right? If we stayed within our comfort zones, if we stayed in our homes and in our schools or in our offices doing just what we do, as humanity, we would not evolve to the next level, right? But the important thing is to definitely take those challenges, get out of your comfort zone, but to do it slowly and in a measured fashion. Not to immediately start taking on huge challenges. Like if many of you girls here want to go and climb, right? You must do it. But build it up slowly, right? I mean, if you go straight from here to climb Mount Everest, that's not doing it delay, right? You're taking chances. So step out of your comfort zone gradually, challenge yourself, prepare hard. So you are ready to take on any challenge, but it has to be done slowly and gradually till you get that confidence, till you gain that experience, and then the sky is the limit.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I am M.G.D. from Mohali. My question to you is that sometimes during our journey we lose something or someone that we deeply love. Should we just stop there and give it a double thought, or should we recklessly continue our journey?
Okay, that's a great question. You've got me thinking as well. So, look, firstly, well, if you are in a situation like this, no two situations are alike. It depends on the kind of situation you are in, right? If there is a danger in any way, in my situation, for my team members, if they are in danger and an incident has happened, I would want to get them out. But another philosophy is that as a mark of respect to somebody who's not being able to carry on with you, right? Long as they are safe, long as they are looked after well, and the conditions are okay, it's okay to bash on regardless and to go on to the top. Yeah? Okay.
Good morning, sir. I'm Nana Nishad from Anti-Life School, Sharjah. And my question to you is, do you think the fear of failure comes just from within us, or is it created because society criticizes mistakes harshly?
Society does criticize mistakes, but I think it's okay to fail, right? We have failed, I've failed many times in whatever I've gone to accomplish. See, the failure should not be of your ethics. Ethics should not never fail, right? If you fail in an objective, maybe if you are playing a sport and you don't win the tournament, that's okay. That's not failure. You know, failure to my mind would be if you did something wrong, right, to win. So, if you have the sportsman spirit, and even then if you lose, that's not a loss. That is still winning, right? You've done it properly. I think it's important to fail in life. Failures are a stepping stone for success. So you must never be disheartened. It should hopefully give you a strength and resolve to try harder the next time and to have a... So the school I went to, the motto was never give in, right? So you must never give in. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Diya Bajaj from M.G.D Girls School. And
Wow.
my question
Okay.
how did the experiences in polar region influence your understanding of leadership under isolation and extreme stress?
So how, sorry dear, could you, I was a bit distracted. I must take a photograph with you and send it to my daughter as well. But tell me, sorry, could you ask your question again?
How did the experiences in polar regions influence your understanding of leadership under isolation and extreme stress?
So, you know, like I mentioned, it's not just the polar regions. I think the outdoors and adventure is a great learning ground for leadership and teamwork. To succeed in adventure, you have to be a good team. I know M.G.D, all of you go river rafting, right? So to get down a rapid safely, you all have to paddle together in unison, right? So I think adventure teaches you teamwork, adventure teaches you leadership, and all the lessons you learn over the years, slowly and gradually. And well, you do make some mistakes, long as they are not blunders, big, huge mistakes, and they are not ethical issues. You know, it's okay to make mistakes, and you learn slowly from your experiences. Yeah. And from good examples, like the examples I shared with you of teamwork and leadership. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Tia.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Tanishka Jain from M.G.D School. While completing the polar trilogy, what was one challenge that completely changed your definition of mental strength?
Okay, there were many challenges on the polar trilogy. You see, the North Pole and South Pole, I did not have my daughter with me. On the Greenland crossing, Dia, my daughter, was with me. And I think that at every stage of the expedition, I was keeping a watchful eye on her. On the third day, for instance, we got into a storm. And that storm was so strong. The temperature dropped to minus 45 degrees. It was a bit of a battle for survival. It lifted Dia and she fell. And, but to her credit, she got up. And I knew she was having a tough time, but it was a big storm. I did my best to help her, and my team did their best we were all supporting each other. But I could see that resolve and determination in her, that no matter what, she was going to go on, right? So there were a lot of lessons learned along the way, but I think this one was about just caring for that to succeed. You know, you need to have a very strong support system about you to succeed in life. And that was a big, big lesson learned. That you know, the kind of spirit we get into on some of these expeditions is that, you know, you're going to do anything to get your team member out of any kind of troubles, whether it's rafting, kayaking, skiing, or whatever you're doing. And you also have the faith in your team. You know that they will do anything and everything to get you out of a situation. But it's a great feeling, you know, to know that that's the level of trust that you can have in your team members. So many lessons learned along the way, but definitely about having a great support system in life, right? And remember, you have to give to receive. You have to give a lot more, always. And you have to give with a spirit of giving, right? Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Bhavna Pankaj Raj from M.G.D Private School, Sharjah. So you've obviously accomplished great challenges in your life. But what's one weird self-challenge you've given yourself for like no logical reason, just for the fun of it?
One weird
Self-challenge you've given yourself.
Okay, well, the next challenge that we've given ourselves as a daughter-father team is we want to climb next year. My daughter today, she's working in the US. She's a management consultant in San Francisco. But she's coming back to India next year. And one, call it weird challenge, okay, is that we want to climb another 8,000-meter mountain together. Yeah, next year in September. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. I am M.G.D from the Rajkumar College, Rajkot, and as you know that we are here for leadership program. So my question for you is, how have challenges helped you shape your leadership style?
I think having been in a lot of these adverse situations, a lot of challenges, actually today, like when I look back, being on the summit of Mount Everest, initially there was a big high, that euphoria of having reached. But when, like I mentioned, when we looked down and looked at the treacherous way down, we looked at the 10,000-foot drop, it was all about getting back safely, you know, with my daughter, right? So I think it's taught me that after those kind of challenges, a lot of challenges are, you know, again in our human mind, and it's taught me to take a deep breath, think things through, and to handle it with a smile. Yeah? Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Durga Danda from the Rajkumar College, Rajkot. I would like to ask you that what are the daily habits or disciplines that make you a successful athlete?
Great question, thank you. So I wake up early in the morning and I exercise every day. Yeah. So I swim, I play tennis, I go to the gym, I go cycling. The sad thing is, where I live today in Gurgaon in Delhi, the national capital region, the pollution levels are very high. So it's tough to go out, and there have been many days that when you wake up, you look at the AQI, it's close to 500 in the morning, and you know you're going to do yourself greater harm by going out and exercising. So then I just get on a cross trainer at home, but I must exercise. I mean, and I tell all my friends that like you have to eat every day, you must exercise. See, I feel that our biggest blessing in our life, in a way, is our health. You know, if you are healthy, you're ready to take on any challenge. Yeah? Like right now, I know I have a silly sporting injury while playing, right? I twisted my ankle really badly, but that's okay. That's fine. That's a part of life. And my friends tease me about it. They joke about this, that you climbed the 7 summits and done all these crazy things, and they say that playing tennis is very dangerous, right? But that's in a lighter way. But yeah, I would say that, so for all of you, that just look after your health, look at your body as a temple, and look after that body of yours. Exercise, and exercise, as you know, it releases endorphins, right? Which is the happy hormone. It gives you a lot of a feeling of well-being and happiness in life, right? So, exercise every day, even when you're at home on chutti, just make it a part of your life, right? And take to adventure sports as well. But like I said, do it safely, build up your experience gradually, go with the right people, using good equipment. You need good instructors, right? And you need to go to good institutions to learn, yeah? But adventure gives us a big nature connect. And I think today, all of us, given the way our life is, we need that connection with Mother Nature, big time in our lives. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Jessica Santalnathan from APS. My question to you is, I personally believe that everyone has a purpose in life. So I'm pretty sure that this is yours as well. Am I correct? So if this is the purpose in your life, when and how did you decide that this is what you wanted to do?
So I would say the purpose in my life now is to mentor youngsters, to mentor others, to, like I spoke about the expedition with girls from my school, taking them to Kilimanjaro. So today, one of the things that really excites me is to mentor other people, to take them out of doors, to make them experience adventure, but to do it properly. Yeah, where they come back wanting more, to do it safely with the highest standards anywhere on the planet. Yeah. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. I'm Nikhat from M.G.D Private School, Sharjah. My question to you is, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice about taking challenges, what would it be?
Nikhat, I would still say go for it. I've been very lucky. I have made, there are a few silly mistakes, but I would call them silly mistakes in my life as well. But I would pretty much want to repeat things the way that have happened, no regrets. Life's been a fantastic journey. Yeah? Thank you.
Please note that due to lack of time, we take up 2 more questions. Good afternoon, sir. I am Jason Rima from Rashma College, Rajkot. And as a person who does not have any family in adventure sports, I wanted to know how I can give confidence to my parents to let me get into my favorite sports.
So, look, your school is your family as well, and I'm sure, does your school take you out on some of these excursions?
Sometimes.
Okay, but let me say, there are some good institutions in the country, like the Nehru Institute of Mountaineering, the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute in Darjeeling. They run courses in adventure and mountaineering. There is now a great institution called NIMAS. It's the National Institute of Mountaineering and Adventure Sports in Arunachal Pradesh, in a place called Dhiram. So there are these great institutions where you can go and learn adventure safely. So lots of opportunities. You have to convince your parents, and I'm sure you can definitely go for it. Yeah.
Colonel Ajit Surendra Samwa.
And sir, you're from the special forces, so listen to my name. Okay. I said I'm Colonel Ajit from the Sangwa. Sir, I have many questions for you. First is there's a saying that mountains fall. Can you just elucidate on that one? I have a lot of friends who are mountaineers, and they say mountains fall. They call you. How true is the statement? I think that statement is absolutely correct. I have many friends who ask me that, look, you live a happy, comfortable life. Why do you throw yourself into the deep end all the time? And it's very tough sometimes to convince them, to give them the correct answer. But I'm sure, being a special forces officer yourself, you can relate to it. I think it's just that feeling of being in the outdoors, that kind of nature connect you have. And I'm not just saying it's necessarily on the high mountains. Many times we just go out for a small little trek anywhere. Anywhere. I mean, it could be a small excursion into the mountains for a scuba diving, a simple scuba diving trip where we go diving. So it's not just a call of the mountains, it's a call of nature. And I just find that experience uplifting. So I definitely believe I come back more relaxed, happier, and just a happy camper after any and every experience in nature. Yeah, thank you.
The next point is a special boat service gentleman from Nirmal Purja.
Yes.
He's stayed for shooting.
Absolutely. He's a rock star in our world.
When do we see father and daughter doing this kind of work?
So, sir, as you know, I mean, we can climb some of the mountains, but a few are in what we call Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. And if we were to ever go there, we would be, I mean, we doubt if they'll ever give us permission. But it is an integral part of our country, illegally occupied, if I may say so. And I think we are hoping that the situation will get better and we are able to actually go and climb in a beautiful part of our own country. Yeah?
And my last question is for you to tell us what are the financial implications of planning an expedition and how much expenditure is going to incur. This point is actually directly to the director out here sitting that we must take an expedition from the school. So what it entails from financial part is the most important. Girls are living. M.G.D girls can do anything. Absolutely. If you can just, not just tell us the time frame to plan and train and the financial implication. And that's also for the other ambassadors who are sitting here to learn. Take away the point from you.
Okay. So I'll answer this question, sir, by telling you a small story. So my third daughter, her name is Purna Malabar. And you must all see this movie. Purna was from a school in rural Andhra Pradesh. So from a family where she could not even get 2 square meals a day. So she went to this school and the school took them on a rock climbing camp. Now Purna was like a mountain goat. She was amazing, she excelled. And at about 13 years and 11 months, Purna actually, long story, but to cut it short, she got to the summit of Mount Everest, becoming the youngest girl to climb Mount Everest. So there's a Bollywood film about Purna. And Purna climbed Denali with us. And she's a wonderful girl, very spirited. So I think at M.G.D, you girls have all the opportunities. Yeah. But my only advice, my suggestion would be, it's important to have that base fitness. I was talking to some of your teachers today and to your director, ma'am. And I know you have a strong fitness ethos. You do yoga, meditation, there's a lot of sports here, from tennis to hockey to swimming and so on. I think that base for any adventure is very, very important. And it's important to build it up slowly. There are many, many options available. But I'd be very, very happy to advise and help and support in any way possible. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Kaira Sadana from Yadvendra Public School, Mohali. And you mentioned that a very important factor of being a good leader is the ability to stay calm in a moment of crisis. And as someone who often panics very easily, I wanted to ask if you have any specific advice on how to achieve that level of calmness.
Okay, so I would say sport. Do yoga, meditation. You have that in your school. So do that even more. Get yourself a guru. Do that on weekends. Do it online. But yoga and meditation does help, and sports definitely helps. Yeah. I would suggest, yeah, so yoga, meditation and sports will help you handle some of that. Yeah?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for engaging with the participants and responding to the queries.
Sure, I'm happy to take as many questions. So if we have the time, ma'am, I'm more than happy. Yeah?
Some very practical questions I wanted to know, out of curiosity. So when you were climbing, we saw that picture of that avalanche coming down. So if you get caught up in that, how do you deal with it? Suppose it was coming your way. So how do you deal with that? And second is your routine, like what do you do? I mean, what is the kind of food that you eat? It's all packaged, it is all ready, and other normal things. Like how do you do the routine things?
So, ma'am, the first question about the avalanche is, over the years, you gain experience as a mountaineer on where not to go. There are also crevasses. So, your best way is to avoid being in a situation getting into an avalanche. So, on Denali, for instance, we had avalanche beepers with us. These are small transmitters that can give your location if you were to get caught in an avalanche. But if you are ever caught in an avalanche, there are tricks of dealing with it as well as mountaineers. But the important thing is to play by the rules and ensure that you do your best not to get into a situation like that. And your second question about diet, I think especially on some of the high mountains, you lose your appetite completely. On Mount Everest, for instance, I lost 12 kilos. You can eat everything and you still lose weight because of a lack of oxygen. You just don't feel like eating. So typically food on some of these expeditions is freeze-dried food, where you have to do a lot of menu planning because you need to take in at least 3,000 calories a day, more actually. And you have two big meals. One is breakfast, one is the evening meal where you will have soup and freeze-dried food. Typically you open a packet and you pour boiling hot water in it, mix everything, seal it again, and you just eat it. It's not very appetizing, but of late on a lot of our expeditions we carry some Indian packaged food as well, which helps us. So whether it's dal makhani or matar paneer or whatever that is, we Indians need our desi khana to survive. So after a while that helps. But a lot of chocolate and energy bars and all of that as well. Yeah.
Is it also true that there's a lot of trash around, like going up and down, because so many mountaineers have been going up and they throw these cans and wrappers and all. So is that true?
Absolutely true. On the north side, because it's managed much better. The Tibet side, the side we climb, there's very little trash, and you have to strictly adhere to that old mountain saying, we take only photos, leave only footprints. But sadly on the south side, yes, there is some trash, but we are trying our level best to create more and more awareness about it, that you leave the mountain cleaner than you find it. So the last mountain we climbed, Mount Denali, that is one of the finest examples of leaving the mountain clean and pristine. So what the rangers do, the American National Park Service, they brief you before your climb. And everything is carried off the mountain, including human waste. So everything, you do not leave any trace of your presence. And I think that is the kind of spirit we all need to go into the mountains, that we are not here to take, we are here to give. We take a lot in terms of our personality development as students. We take a lot in terms of, from Mother Nature, so many lessons we learn. But I think as a way of giving back, we must leave the mountain cleaner than we find it. Ma'am, we are seeing this all over the world. You know, on all my expeditions I've seen, initially there were 3 R's of environment preservation. There was recycle, reduce, and reuse. Now, do you girls know there are 6 R's? Do you know the 6 R's? So one is refuse. So if you go to a supermarket and they give you a single-use plastic bag, please refuse, right? The next R is repair, right? So whatever you may have, if it's slightly torn, whether it's clothes, anything, could be electronics, could be repaired and use it again, right? But the 6th R is the most critical R. That is rethink. We human beings have to rethink the way we are living life on this planet. Now, wherever we go, you see, we are spewing out 41.6 gigatons. Though that was our carbon footprint of our planet last year. That's a whole lot of carbon emission, you know, and each giga has 12 zeros, right? So there's 41.6 gigatons. We are seeing it all over in nature. So whether it's Mount Everest, the Rongbuk Glacier has shrunk about 2 kilometers in the last 100 years or so. These glaciers are receding. Now the Greenland ice cap, which we see across, is melting at a very rapid pace. And they say, like I mentioned, there's 650,000 square miles of ice. That ice is melting, and they say when all of that ice melts, there are different projections. It may take 40, 50, 60 years, but these girls in their lifetime, they are going to see ramifications of that melt. If all of that ice were to melt, it's going to increase the ocean levels by 23 feet. So a lot of places like Mumbai, Singapore, Chennai, they're all going to get submerged underwater. Yeah? So it's important that we rethink the way we are living life on this planet. Many times what will happen is, we call it the finger-pointing syndrome, right? We, as human beings, it's human nature to say this has nothing to do with us. It's to do with the government, with our school, and so on. But remember, when you point a finger at somebody else, there are 3 fingers pointing back at us. So environmental consciousness and preservation starts with each and every one of us. So whether you save a bit of water, electricity, reuse stuff, right, reduce waste, all of that makes a big difference. So Once all of you are able to do it, that will be a great step in the right direction. Yeah?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Ada and I'm from M.G.D Girls School. There must be times when you think you're back at one of those summits or on one of those rafts. So my question to you is, what things do you think you could have done differently, and what is that one most valuable trait that you inherited from one of your expeditions?
One most valuable?
Traits that you inherited.
Okay. One thing differently. Okay, let me just give that a little thought. Lots of things in hindsight, sometimes, on expeditions, I should have really put my foot down a little bit harder. And I was a little more gentle about it, but as a team leader, I should have perhaps been a little more firm in my decision. Yeah. One or two times I perhaps let things ride. Yeah. And about lessons, I've learned so much along the way that it's hard to pick one. But as I said, the one big one is that to succeed, you've got to stay positive. Yeah? And one good thing is surround yourself with people who are positive in life. Yeah? Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Anurag from M.G.D Girls School. Fearless is clearly your personality trait. So can you tell me something that till date scares you, like brings chills down your spine? Anything?
No, so many moments. On our North Pole ski expedition, one of our team members actually went into the Arctic Ocean, right? And luckily, see, it's very cold. The outside air temperature is -30. Now, if you get into cold, freezing water, you can get hypothermia, right? What you saw in the video was I was wearing a dry suit. It was planned, right? But if it's unplanned and wearing your jacket and everything, with your sled attached to you, you go in. It actually happened. So you have 60 kilos pulling you down underwater, right? So it's a part of your training that you have a quick release belt, right? So if you are in a situation like that you go into the Arctic Ocean in -30 with 60 kilos attached to you, right? That does give me a chill down my spine because it actually happened, right? So you are trained you have a quick release belt, you let go of that belt, let your sled go to the bottom, but you definitely don't want to go to the bottom with your sled. So it actually happened, and luckily I was behind this teammate of mine, Dirk, who was an American. I was able to throw a rescue bag at him, pull him out, and we realized we were in terrain that wasn't very stable, so he had to keep going. Luckily for us, he had the spirit and the willpower to keep going till we were able to get to firm ground, which was solid ice, where we could pitch a tent. Because this is something that can lead to what we call hypothermia. The core body temperature drops and it becomes a very, very dangerous situation. So we were able to bring him, pitch a tent and warm the person up very gradually, and everything worked out fine. But thinking about it still gives me chills like you asked. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, sir. This is Ambika Singh from KPS JAIPUR, and my question to you is, in a world which is constantly chasing comfort, to what extent do you believe discomfort contributes towards shaping up of resilience and responsible individuals?
Great question, Ambika. What I would like to say is, like we mentioned, it's not about discomfort, it's about challenging ourselves, right? And the important thing is, this is all relative, right? what may be discomfort to some of us, which might mean not being in an air-conditioned home or something, may be very normal for others, right? So, to answer your question, I think more than the discomfort, it's important to challenge ourselves, right? Like I mentioned earlier, as humanity, we have evolved when we have stepped out of our comfort zones, right? If you look at so many explorers, if they had stayed in their homes and continued to do what they were doing, humanity, they would not have achieved what they achieved, and B, humanity would not have gone up a notch higher, right? So, I think it's not the discomfort, it's about the challenges that you take, and these have to be calculated challenges, right? Not reckless challenges. Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Avni Agarwal, All Saints College, and I wanted to ask you if you could please share a challenge outside your career that taught you something important about yourself.
So lots of challenges, Avni. One challenge was COVID. You know, in the organization I run, right, I had a big team with me, a wonderful team who are like family for me. Now, COVID happens, so what do? So many lessons learned along the way, but I'm glad that we stayed together as a team and we were able to come out of it. But that was a big challenge. Yeah.
Can you tell us about the organization that you
So I run an organization called Snow Leopard Adventures. So straight out of college, I decided to pursue my hobby and make it a profession. I was able to go out and you know, get into the highest levels of river rafting, kayaking, mountaineering, and skiing all over the world. Came back and set up my company, and we started off. The first thing we did was we were trainers we ran courses for the Indian Armed Forces, and we have many organizations coming to us. We have a campsite near Rishikesh, which is an adventure campsite with river rafting, zip lining. We do trekking expeditions from all over the country, Ladakh. We have many schools coming to us from all over the world, from Southeast Asia, from the UK. We do big expeditions, we climb, we trek, raft with all the students. We also do what is called corporate outdoor management development. So we take corporates out to the great outdoors, and we do work on, through adventure, soft adventure. We do team building and leadership development and all of that. Yeah. So it's a great profession. And I joke with my friends, you know, in the beginning they thought, you know, this was in the 80s. Adventure was considered synonymous with death-defying kind of stuff. But over the years, people have realized that if you do it properly, adventure can be safe, and it can be a whole lot of fun, and it can give you that kind of nature connect, which is really important for our lives. But today, my friends do acknowledge that I have the best profession on the planet. So if you're passionate about what you do, you don't work for a single day of your life. I love going to work, and I enjoy it. I have a great team. We are lucky. We've had 4 National Tourism Awards as the best in the country. So while we don't do what we do for awards, but it does inspire you to work harder and you know, excel in your profession.
What do the girls have to do to join an organization?
So we have many girls who are doing a great job working with us.
Courses
like I mentioned, Nehru Institute of Mountaineering. I'm on their executive committee. I'll be very happy to connect you with them. Or the one in Arunachal, Limas, Colonel Ranveer Jambal, who's a national hero. He heads the institute. I'd be very happy to connect you with some of these institutions. Yeah? But I think you must send the girls out for a bit of soft adventure to begin with, and then to build it up gradually. In a safe, good institution where they can learn the skills, they can learn slowly, gradually, gain that experience to do bigger stuff.
That would be the last question for the day. Thank you, sir, for engaging with the participants and responding to the queries. This brings our question and answer session to a close. Let us extend a hearty round of applause for this exceptional session. I request Mrs. Archana S. Mankotia, Director, M.G.D. Girls School, to join us on stage to present a token of gratitude to the guest speaker of the day, Mr. Rajiv Bajaj.
नाम उन्होंने बोला नाम है अच्छी जाओ
Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am. I invite Vanya Kiji, Community Service Officer, M.G.D. Girls School, to propose the vote of thanks.
Every challenge is an opportunity to rise above our limits. When we take that first brave step, the mountain begins to move. Greetings to the August gathering. It's indeed an honor and a proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks on the 8th day of the Lead Eye program. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished guest speaker for the day, Mr. Ajit Bajaj, Padma Shri Awardee. Sir, your gracious presence has truly elevated this occasion. We are deeply grateful to you for reminding us that challenges are not obstacles but opportunities to rise higher and stronger. I am profoundly grateful to Maharaj Jai Singh Ji, Chairperson, M.G.D. Girls School, Jaipur, for his visionary leadership and constant guidance that continue to motivate the M.G.D. community to strive for excellence in every endeavor. I also acknowledge with appreciation all the esteemed members of the Board of Governors, M.G.D. Girls School Society, and the members of the M.G.D. Girls Guild, and all our honored guests present today. The support you extend to the school is invaluable and deeply cherished. My warm appreciation goes to our Director, Principal, and Administrative Officer for providing this transformative platform that expands our perspective and equips us for the world of tomorrow. A special note of acknowledgement to the students and faculty advisors from premier institutes across the globe, as well as schools from Jaipur for joining us. It has been an honor to have you with us for this session. I extend my sincere thanks to the coordinators, teachers, and students whose dedication has contributed significantly to the success of this event. Your efforts are truly appreciated. To the Student Council and the volunteers, your contribution has been exceptional and we deeply value your commitment. A special thanks to the members of the press for covering today's event. मैं सभी भाई जी और बहन जी का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ. आप सभी के सहयोग के बिना ये कार्यक्रम पूर्ण नहीं हो पाता। Thank you everyone for being such an enthusiastic audience. We look forward to welcome you again for the next session. Wishing you all a pleasant day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Today's session has shown us that the mountains we climb, both literal and metaphorical, shape who we become. Once again, thank you, sir, for inspiring us to take on challenges with passion, resilience, and unwavering determination. Moments become memories when we capture them together. It's time to make this session a memory to cherish with group photographs. I invite our honorable guest speaker, Mr. Ajit Bajaj, Madam Director, Mrs. Archana S. Mankotia, Madam Principal, Mrs. Pramendra Khangaru, and Administrative Officer, Colonel S.S. Sangwan, Sena Midbar, to be seated on the stage for the group photographs. I also request Colonel Sangram Singh Mankotia and Ms. Geetika Mahajan to join for the photograph. The participant teams are requested to line up along with their faculty advisors in the following order. Student volunteers for the various teams are requested to take the lead and guide them along.